The momentum continues in Tempe. Where will it end? Richie Bradshaw of Locked On Sun Devils is here to discuss just that. ASU inside the top 20 of the 2026 rankings. Sure, it's early. It's early. This wasn't a thing a year ago, 2 years ago, three. This wasn't a thing. So just to have the chance to land a top 10, 15 class, we'll get to the upper potential of where this could go later in the segment, Richie. But I just want to start with the momentum. Why is Tempe buzzing right now with their latest commitment?
I mean, it just continues to be the excitement that's going on with the Kenny Dillingham era. And spring ball is up for ASU. And in previous years, Kenny typically comes out and says, hey, we got some rust to knock off. First practice wasn't good. This, that, and the other. First practice this year, he was like, yeah, these kids are dialed in. You can tell that they're ready to compete and everything. So this team is giving off that energy, that swagger, if you would, that the young kids, the 16, 17, 18-year-old kids who are visiting campus notice, and they go, yeah, I want to be a part of that right now. And now's the time of year where, between April and July, that you're going to have a ton of visits coming to your program, and you're going to have a ton of commitments coming to your program. We previously talked on here about the potential spike that we're going to see for recruiting for ASU. They had 2 commits over the weekend. There's potentially another guy in the waiting, and then it's the end of the month's going to be crazy.
Yeah, I look at what Arizona State has. Only 8 players right now in the class of 2026, but the second highest rated class in the Big 12 for the moment, Richie. But this is what I'd assess for ASU or anybody, frankly, recruiting right now, except for maybe USC. They're in a different galaxy of recruiting in 2026 at the moment. I'd consider this a strong foundation. You haven't built the walls of your recruiting class house. You have the designs for the interior and the kitchen, but you don't yet have that built. But right now, you've built the foundation, and now you want to build on that. Now you got to put the walls up. Now you got to start to get everything furnished on the interior. So how does ASU accomplish that in the coming months, and how important is that for the ASU program?
So the way that you're going to do it is continue to clean up with the visits that are coming in. And there's nothing this week. There's 1 kid next week. And then the very end of April is like 7 or 8 kids. And the other thing at the end of April is the 2 prized possessions of this class. Jake Fetty, 4-star quarterback, and not Hayden Vircher, Israel Briggs, the 4-star tight end. Hayden Vircher is another very good tight end that's in this class. They are both going to be on campus for a weekend that's going to feature a bunch of 4-stars and a bunch of kids, period. They're going to be recruiting for this program. They're going to be in a great position to really kind of show like, hey, this is why I committed here. Spring camp is going to be wrapping up here as we go into week 3. So by the time we have the end of the month rolling around, you'll have the spring football game in attendance because ASU did not cancel theirs, which obviously is phenomenal for the program and phenomenal for the fans. So it's going to be about cleaning up the rest of this month. And I love the momentum that they have right now. And I love the way that the program is speaking for itself at this point. These kids are setting up visits to come out and visit the program, and they're excited about it. And that's something that we haven't had in a long time. So the program's reputation is building itself back up, and that's very exciting for us.
The reason this is important, if you're an Arizona State fan or a fan of any team in the Big 12 who cares about recruiting, which makes you an informed college football fan, because newsflash, recruiting matters a whole heck of a lot. It's not everything, doesn't guarantee anything, does give you the best chance to win, of course. So I look at what Arizona State is this year. I think of them a little bit, Richie, just a little bit like Indiana. They were the 2 playoff teams that nobody expected. I think every other team had someone before the season pick them to be there. Oregon, Penn State, Ohio State, Tennessee, like Clemson, just keep going down the list. ASU and Indiana were the surprises. And I think on the recruiting trail, Richie, you have to be able to, as a program, capitalize on that. You have to take that and not let it fizzle out. You don't want to be a one and done as a success story in college football. If you want to build something that's going to last and you're going to be a perennial Big 12 title contender, you've got to take that. And I think Dillingham does this very well in the way he messages and talks about his program. You have to go out on the trail and deliver those results so that you have the best chance to sustain success into the future.
Yeah, and the way that this current roster is looking at it right now is as if they haven't earned anything. Very first day of spring ball, we're out there, a bunch of media people, they're playing We Are the Champions by Queen in the background. It repeats a second time, and you're like, okay, something's going on. Repeats a third time, you're like, is this going to be a thing? For the 2.5 hour practice, all they played was We Are the Champions. So by the end of practice, we're talking to Kenny and we're talking to Sam Levitt, and Kenny's like, yeah, no, that was very much on purpose because I want them to hear the songs talking about they're the champions, we won the Big 12, and look how great we are. And I want them to be annoyed by it, and I want them to block it out so that they can be dialed in. Don't focus on your previous success. You need to focus on the upcoming season. And that's what Sam Levitt echoed too. He was like, yeah, it's a new year. I enjoyed the championship game for what it was. I took a look at the Peach Bowl, and 3 days later, I flushed it, and I moved on to the next season. So they are set on making sure that they're not the Cinderella team because we see that so often. And it's easy for us to buy into it. And it's easy to continually bring up the sleeping giant that is Arizona State, but you still haven't proven anything. And you still have a lot of work to do to make sure that the success you just had is sustainable and it's not just one season. So this is a very important offseason for the team, for the recruiting, especially because you bring in those players that's going to help your program for the future. And the way that everything is going right now, from practices to recruiting to the way that fans are engaging, everything's trending up right now. So it's a really fun time in the Valley.
Where does this class wind up, you think? Where do you want it to wind up? They've got 8 players, number 19 in the country right now. When you get off to a strong start like that for a recruiting cycle, for where you want ASU to go and where they're capable of going, to me, I look at this and say, you got to find a way to pull a top 20 class. And top 15, I think, is probably your ceiling because you're going to have to go against some big-time programs, and you can't overcome that in just one cycle. But I think with the programs that you've seen pop inside the top 20 or 25 range the last several years, I don't think it's unrealistic to say Arizona State should expect to have a top 20 class this cycle.
No, and I think that's the way that we're trending right now, too. And if this is another successful season, then 2027, that will certainly be the expectation, is 100% a top 20 class. I would be happy staying within the top 25 and having a top 4, top 3 class in the Big 12. But the way you're trending right now is great. There are several 4-stars that I am anticipating to be committing over the summer. You already have 2. I could see as many as 5 or 6, and that's going to boost your score up quite a bit for where you end up ranking. Like, yeah, maybe you don't get a 5-star this year, but if you're adding a bunch of 4 stars and very quality 3 stars, that stuff is going to help your score for everything. And then people care about that. They're going to look at the number 17 recruiting class and see everything that ASU's brought together. And it's a big time statement that they can make right now with the way this is going.